Please welcome Conductor's co-founder and CEO, Seth Besmertnik.
Watch out, Michael Cole! Welcome, welcome, welcome! Welcome! How's everybody doing? All right, we're gonna try this. Woo! What's up, what's up, what's up? Good morning. Good morning. What's up, everybody? How you doing? Can you hear me in the back? Can you hear me up here in the front? Yeah. Awesome, awesome. This place is incredible. I got like this crazy mix of emotions. I'm like crying in the back. My heart's pacing. I'm excited. This is absolutely amazing. We started this event years ago. We have extremely, extremely humble beginnings. I think it was one of our investors. We were in his board. Sorry. I'm like, they told me not to run. My heart's like pacing like probably like 130 beats per second right now. So anyway, this event actually started in a conference room years ago, about 5 years ago, where we got a bunch of our people together and we said, we want to come in and we want to talk about what we're doing. And we said, let's turn this into an event. So we launched our first C3 about 4 years ago, and we had 65 people. It was at the bottom floor of a hotel, and it was hot. There was no windows, and we were like so excited that we got 60 people to come and hear about what we were talking about and hear about get this sort of movement started. And it's just incredible that today we've got over 1,000 people here in New York celebrating this event. So really excited. Round of applause. I need your energy. I need your energy. Yeah. So there's a few things that really make C3 a very, very unique and a very, very different event. The first thing is the people. If you look at some of the companies here, there are some of the best marketers on the planet. They are here in this room, some of the most visionary marketers, some of the smartest marketers, people who have the knowledge to help you achieve your wildest dreams, professional dreams, personal dreams, goals for your organizations. If you were to do one thing here, it's get to know the people. Everybody is very friendly. If they are not friendly, come talk to me and say that guy's not being friendly, and I'll make them friendly. This is New York, so we make people friendly here. Speakers, we go through a very exhaustive process to curate content here. We've really taken we've got a great mix of industry pundits. One of my personal favorites, Seth Godin, is here at 1:30. It's extremely exciting. We've got leaders like Rand Fishkin and Will Reynolds. But then what makes C3 extremely unique is that we've got case studies and stories from real brands sharing their data, sharing their successes, sharing their failures. What's their struggles? What's their problems? And really opening up the doors for that. We've got 4 tracks running during some of the sessions, and it's designed so the sessions are small, so you can be collaborative, you can talk, you can interact. Not a one-way conversation. Partners. The partners here are not like just any other partners. These are companies that we found that our customers are using, that they're saying these companies are helping us. These companies are giving us great results. These companies are helping us achieve our goals. And I just encourage everyone to go talk to some of these partners. They're great companies, very welcome, and hopefully they can be helpful to you. So before we get started today, and before I get started with my talk here, that's sort of 2 things I want to do. The first thing is I want to thank you. So I want to thank all the conductors who put this incredible event on. I'm absolutely floored. So thank you, conductors. Thank you for everything you do for the company. You got, the only way I can thank you is just keep marching forward. And on behalf of all the conductors, I want to thank everybody who's here. I want to thank our customers for supporting us. We have some customers that have been with us since when you logged. There was a point in time when you logged into Searchlight and it said "coming soon" on the first page. And we had customers that are here that stuck with us and try and helped us build the company. We have partners that are here. We have agencies that support our business and support our clients, and we're just incredibly thankful. And I just want to give a big bow and thank you guys. So thank you guys very much. So part of how we demonstrate our thankfulness as a company is through a foundation that we actually launched at the first C3 in 2011. And I'm going to just step aside for a moment and play a short video.
When we started Conductor, we believed the challenge of getting found was not exclusive to commercial businesses. We believed that mission-based organizations that make this world a better place have the same challenges and needed even more help. Whether they are seeking new donations or raising awareness for their cause, it is invaluable for these organizations to get discovered online and get in front of their audiences. In 2011, we started the Conductor Foundation. This foundation is a way for Conductor to donate our time, our knowledge, and our products to great causes around the world. Since launching the foundation, we have had the opportunity to donate over 5,000 hours in community service. Our annual Searchlight Grant program has driven over $500,000 in donated services to 15 nonprofits, including Housing Works, International Rescue Committee, Alliance for Smiles, DC Goodwill, National Kidney Foundation, WNYC.org, TISBEST, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, and the World Wildlife Fund. To date, the Conductor Foundation has contributed to millions of additional visits to these organizations, helping causes ranking from children's cancer research to saving endangered species. And now, the 2014 Searchlight Grant winners.
So on behalf of the Conductor Foundation, I want to I want to congratulate the award winners. We donate our full product, we donate services, we donate everything that we can offer to these 4 organizations this year. And if there's anyone here from a mission-based organization, a nonprofit organization, I'm going to ask you just really fast if you can just stand up for just a few minutes. There's a few folks here, and I just want to, you guys up here in the front, and I just want to give a round of applause to these guys. Thank you very much for everything that you do. Thank you very much. So my talk today is around three people. The first person is you guys. And this is Missy. She is the VP of SEO at M&T Bank. And I didn't ask your permission, but Missy is your ambassador. She's standing in for you. So thank you, Missy, wherever you are, Missy. I don't know if I can see you. There you are, Missy. Thank you for standing in on behalf of everybody. The next guy that I want to talk about a little bit later is this guy. It's actually one of my personal heroes, which I'll get to. And the third guy that I want to dive into and talk about right now is this guy. So I'm going to ask you, yell out this guy's name if you know who he is. Shakespeare. So surprisingly, went around the office and showed this picture, and I didn't get a lot of answers, but I'll give you a little bit of a hint. Galileo, Figaro. Oh, amigo! Sorry. So this guy's Galileo, a pretty amazing guy, and so why am I here talking about Galileo? So 3 months ago, we did a product launch, and when we do product launches, I get the privilege of speaking with reporters and analysts and people in the community, and I was talking with this reporter, and I'm showing her my favorite slide. What are my favorite slides? It's this incredible data that says this is the way that consumers find websites. They don't click on the ads. They go to organic channels. Like the data speaks for themselves. However, when we talk with our customers and we go out in the marketplace, we continue to find that the huge amounts of money and the huge amounts of resources, are spent over here. And we sort of were talking about the challenge of that. And this lady goes, she goes, it sounds like a real case of Galileo syndrome. And I was like, oh yeah, Galileo syndrome. Yeah, like everyone's got the Galileo syndrome, yeah. But in the back of my head, I was really like, I knew who Galileo was. Like I remember in high school, and my dad always was playing Cosmo tapes in the house, but like for the life of me, I was like, I don't know who this guy is anymore, and I certainly don't know what kind of syndrome he had. So we get off the phone. It actually went well. She wrote a nice story, but I had this itch where I wanted to learn more about what this guy was about and why she was saying this. So I got home, and I took out my World Book, which I keep nicely under my bed. It was part of a deal I made with my wife when we got married. Was I get to keep my World Book in case the internet sort of doesn't take off. And I start reading about this guy Galileo, and it's really interesting. He's Italian. He's super smart. Went to school for medicine, but he loves mathematics, and he's really curious. And there's a story in the World Book that talks about that he hears about these guys in the Netherlands, and they developed like this little thing. It's like this little sort of. It's actually like smaller than that thing. It's like a spyglass of sorts, and you look at it, and you can see things like a little closer. And he's kind of like an old school hacker, this guy. He's like the beginning of hackers. And he gets this spyglass, and he goes to his local like lens store, or like Lens Crafters or Home Depot or something like that. And he hacks this thing, and he basically turns it into like the world's biggest and most powerful telescope. Really interesting. So what do you do when you have the world's biggest powerful telescope? You're not like like a high floor of a Manhattan office building. Well, you point it in the sky, and that is exactly what he did. So he pointed in the sky, and he started making observations, and he started capturing data. He realized like the moon wasn't smooth, and the moon had those little pieces on the moon. But when we started making observations, he started collecting data, and the data that he started collecting, he started to prove something, and he started to realize that he found something that was radically different than what the common belief was. And the common belief at that time was that the Earth was in the middle of the universe, right? It was in the world, and everything surrounded it. So like the planets went around it, and the sun went around it, and everything went around the Earth, which kind of makes sense given, that's the human way of thinking, right? It all revolves around us. So what he found was actually something very, very different. He actually saw that the Earth was just like other planets, and was like this. It was like was part of this universe, and that the sun was actually in the middle, and all revolved around the sun. So he got excited by this, and he wanted to share it. So I guess he had, I guess, like a blog or something that he put this out on, and he published it. He's really excited, but it was met with incredible resistance. So much resistance that Galileo got arrested. He got put on house arrest. And guys are coming after him. They were calling him a heretic. He's the Antichrist. He's a bad guy. And it's kind of this ends up going on. There's a long story here. This is believe me, this is the most history lesson you'll get from me today. But it has a really, really happy ending, the story, and it's really relevant to us. So one is he does get out of jail eventually. Two is he gets to be in a Queen song, which is pretty awesome. But the story here is that other like-minded, open-minded people, they followed his research. They were willing to challenge the status quo, and ultimately they found that Galileo was right, and that the data actually was true, and that Galileo was right. And ultimately, Galileo is an icon, and he's responsible for the scientific revolution. He's responsible for a lot of things that we do today. So as I get going here, let's just give a nice bit of respect for Galileo. All right, so going back to this reporter who said we had Galileo syndrome. So I realized that I really understood what she was talking about, and in fact that you guys, we are leading this new revolution. We have the data, we have the tools. We are embarking on a. So, is that Galileo? Hold on, I think that's Galileo. He can feel us. See, this is real. Now we're on a windy pier here, so don't get too nervous. So that we're actually on the dawn of a new era of marketing, and the status quo is the old way of thinking. It's the thinking that you can buy your customers, you can buy into the conversation. That if you just keep jamming your message in front of them, that they will believe you, they will listen to you. That if you just wait for them to come, that eventually they'll come and they'll be your servants. This is the old way of thinking. And this is the status quo. This is the little piece of the pie chart. And that you guys, Missy, sorry, Missy. But you guys are the Galileos. You really are the Galileos. You have the best tools. You're looking at the data. You're seeing the truth. And that you've got to have the perseverance. You've got to believe. You've got to push forward. Because there are people who are against this, who are part of the status quo. You have to change. We are making this change happen. That is what C3 is about, is this change. And together as a community, we have to push through and make this revolution a reality. And hopefully we can accomplish that. We can accomplish that today. So here's to the revolution. So we talked about Galileo. We talked a little bit about you vis-a-vis Missy. And now I want to go and I want to talk more about this guy right here. So this guy, he's a brave guy, he's a strong guy. As I mentioned, he's one of my heroes. But we can actually trace the movement that we're on right now back to this guy. And there's hundreds or thousands of guys that existed and that do exist today. And I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to live with one of them. And I want to tell you a little story about that. So the story begins, and we're on East 34th Street in a bike shop. This is where I used to live. I lived on the floor above this about 8 years ago. And I lived with this guy that I went to high school with named Jeremy. And he had this business card business that I didn't really know much about. And I was actually starting a therapy business where I gave therapy over the internet. And I was going to school at night, and the therapy thing, a whole different conversation. And I'm kind of going about my life, and I start to notice a few things. I start to notice, like, we get this really nice couch. And it's like, wow, like, oh, this couch showed up. We're excited. The couch shows up. I'm like, yeah, I got a great couch. Then a few weeks later, we get these incredible drums. Like, these drums, like, you have to wait online at like Sam Ash just to play these drums for 5 minutes, and then they move you out. These are incredible drums. And then we get this awesome TV comes in. This was the TV that we got. This was, at the time, this was like the state of the art, the best TV that you can get. So I start to, and keep in mind, my therapy business was not taking off. None of this was my stuff. So I start to, I'm almost like a little concerned. I go over to Jeremy. I'm like, where's all this money coming from? Like, are we safe here? Like, we need to get more locks on the door. I mean, what kind of business are we running here? And Jeremy's like, hey, come over here. He's like, come over here. He's like, let me show you something. So he opens up Google, and I go over to his computer, and he's like, if you were starting a business, and you were looking for business cards, what would you do? The Google things right in front of me. So I'm like, well, I would type business cards into the box. So I type business cards in, and I look back at him, and he's got this like big smile on his face. He's like, and I'm like, okay. He's like, dude, hit enter. So I hit enter, and I get these results, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, okay, I don't get it. And his face is glowing, and he's like, you see these 3 websites? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, those are my websites. The first one, the second one, the third one, they're on my website. And you see on Yahoo, those are my websites too. And I was like floored. This is like an inflection point in my life. And I was like, when did my roommate become the king of business cards? He was the king of business cards. So I go back. I'm like, I've got all these mixed feelings. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm jealous. I'm all kinds of things. So I walk back to my desk, and I go back to my computer, and I'm curious. I had this curiosity. So I start to do my own searches. I search for things like checking accounts and running shoes and credit cards. And what I notice is that I don't know any of the companies that are showing up. Like, I've never heard of them. Like, where are all the banks? And where are the credit card companies? And where are the sneaker companies? None of them are here. And that's when I got 2 really big sort of realizations. One was that getting found on the internet and getting found online and getting found organically was a huge opportunity. It's a huge opportunity for big companies. And I also realized that the internet was being dominated by underwear marketers. There's Galileo again. The internet was dominated by underwear marketers. And that guys like my roommate Jeremy were paving the way for this revolution. They were the first movers. They realized that if you can get online, that there's riches and there's opportunity and there's success. And this was inspiring, this was powerful, and I don't know where Jeremy is. Where are you, Jeremy? There you are, Jeremy. Stand up. Give a round of applause to Jeremy. So, funny joke. Jeremy says to me about 2 weeks, because Jeremy and I started the company, but he hasn't worked at the company for a number of years, and he says, I go to C3 and I don't know anybody and no one knows me. Now everyone will know you, my friend. So, moving along here. So, I was inspired by this. I was really inspired. We were inspired, and we were inspired that if we could build a company that went out and helped other companies figure out how to get found by creating good content and by doing things the right way, that we can begin. And that's exactly what we did. We started Conductor. And we pulled our people together, and we pulled our data together, and we got a story, and I hit the road. And I started setting up meetings with these companies that weren't getting found, and I would go there, and I'd find out, like, there was like one guy who was responsible sometimes for all of digital marketing, or one guy responsible for SEO, or one guy responsible for content marketing. It was one guy, and that person had no resources. They were like the bottom of the priority list. And I remember walking into an office. I was so excited. It was like a big office. Like I had a suit on, and I go in the office, and I'm like, hey, I'm here to meet with this guy. And they're like, oh yeah. Go outside, and they're over there. And I find that they're in a trailer in the parking lot. It's the digital marketing team. Digital marketing teams used to be in the trailer. They used to have no windows, and we were literally, our industry and our people were at the bottom of the priority list. So this just made us more motivated. So what did we do? Well, we came up with tools and worksheets and data, and we paraded around all kinds of places. We're trying to convince people to go and convince their boss that organic marketing was important. And we created worksheets. And one of the things that we did that was really fun was we took all of the keywords that companies were showing up with using paid advertising or paid search for, and we said, companies are spending $800 million, but if you take those same keywords and you look at them organically, we'd score you on how you'd rank. And we did this for every single Fortune 500 company. And then we'd actually ship these reports in FedExes to the CMO of every Fortune 500 company for about a year. Because we were trying to show them the data. We're trying to give them the light. We're trying to give them the tools to do it. And a funny story was the first company that called me back was UPS. The EA to the CMO of UPS called me back, and she said, you know, if you want to do business with UPS, you really shouldn't send a FedEx truck to our office. And fast track years later, FedEx has become an incredible customer. They actually were an early adopter to this, and the FedEx team is here today. Incredible. They're going to be talking later. And also very true, UPS has not returned a phone call of ours. So they're hanging out in the past. So meanwhile, while we're out there mailing reports to the Fortune 500 and marketers are still living in the past, the consumer was changing in an incredible way. The consumer was changing. We went from a world where families would sit in front of TVs and we'd watch and we'd have a good time, and we were a captive audience, and we paid attention because there was nothing else to pay attention to. Our phones weren't ringing, and we'd sit and have family dinners. This reminded me of my family because my mom is yelling at me. And you'd have family dinners, and the phone would ring with telemarketers, and people would get mad that they were ringing. But this is the way that products and services were sold. And we went on the internet, and the internet started to become more important, and our inboxes started to fill up with, Galileo is very loud today. Our inboxes started to fill up with mail and messaging, and our monitors were covered with pop-up ads and under-pops and display ads. But the balance of power has started to change, and it's changing in a huge way. Today we have things like DVRs, and we don't have to watch commercials. And even if you are watching the commercials, more likely you're paying attention to your phone or something else. We've got ad blockers, and now I don't know if now when you send messages to customers, they have this promotion tab in Gmail where all your marketing messages go in there, and most consumers don't even know that tab exists anymore. They just think all of a sudden the mail stops coming. And the internet, most importantly, it presents choice. You get to choose. Nobody else is telling you what to do. And what do people do when they have choice? They choose content over ads. That's what the data says. The consumer is in control. The consumer has become in control. We cannot resist this. The days of paying for your customers' attention as the only way to get in front of them, those days are over. They're just over. You can just look in the mirror and ask yourself, say, do I want to click on those ads? And this comes with incredible opportunity, but it also comes with challenges. In the new world of the consumer, they've got lots of options. This is sort of a big abstraction of the web. When they're looking for answers, when they've got problems, when they've got questions, when they've got curiosities, when they've got anything, there's so many places to go. They can search on YouTube. They can go to Facebook. They can go to Twitter. They can go to Google. They can go to a myriad of different search engines. The internet has become Yelpified. You can get reviews and feedback on almost anything. Anything you can get reviews on. It's not just restaurants anymore. And if you as a marketer, if you're not participating in those conversations, if you are not getting found when they have intent and when they're looking, then intent can be quickly redirected from your industry and your business and your company, and it can and it will get redirected to your competition. It happens. So I want to share a story about a consumer who loves to buy lots of random stuff on the internet. to show example of this. The consumer's me. So this is me with my big head, and I'm running along the East River. And this is a true story. I'm running along the East River, and my foot was hurting. And this has happened before, but it got to the point where I'm like, I can't run anymore. This is bothering me too much. So I'm walking back to my apartment, and I take out my phone, take out my Canons, Canons first, phone second, and I get my phone and I do a search, and I say, why are my feet hurting when I'm running? And on the first page, there's a whole bunch of random content sites. Few of them I never heard of before, but I start reading them, and I start, I'm very influenceable. And the first article I read, it tells me that I should go buy a new pair of sneakers. So maybe my sneakers are a problem. So of course I go to Under Armour, Conductor customer, and I buy a pair of Under Armour sneakers, and they were great sneakers, but it didn't help me. So I look at what the next article said, and the next article says, buy an ankle bracelet. So I buy this ankle brace. That didn't fix my problem. So then I get some physical therapy, which another article said, and I get some physical therapy, and that wasn't my problem. And then finally I go on Amazon and I buy a heel lift, which is what something else told me. And I end up buying a heel lift, and it turns out that my legs are a different size. So if you ever see me like this, it's because my legs are like an inch apart difference. But what happened was, so I buy this heel lift, everything's good, I'm all happy. A few weeks later, I'm at my local CVS. And I walk in the store and I'm buying eggs or milk or something sort of basic, and I see like beaming from like the heavens, I see this big Dr. Scholl's kiosk. Have you seen one of these things before? They're like virtual reality machines. You go up to them, you punch it. So I see this machine, and I'm like, I'm not wearing Dr. Scholl's in my sneakers, right? I don't have a Dr. Scholl's product in my shoes. So I'm curious, I go back to my phone, and I look at that search, and Dr. Scholl's, the company that makes more foot healing products than probably any other company that you can think of, they're nowhere to be found. They're not on page 1, they're not on page 2, they're not on page 3. They don't have any content for me when I have the problem. And they're missing. They are lost. They are just like the guys from years ago. And they are not the only ones. If you go to YouTube, don't do it right now, but you can do this later. But these are fresh results. You say, how do I take a picture? Or how do I choose a camera lens? Who do you find? Nobody you've ever heard of. Instead, Nikon, they're doing all the other things. They are spending a lot of money to be marketing to depressed Met fans who are losing games, and they're out in the back, and they get to think about Nikon. At least Canon, our customer, is smart enough to go to Yankee Stadium. We'll have a debate another time, but I'm part of the Mets going back to the AAA. So another example, removing stains from clothing. Lots of companies that you think show up. No one you've ever heard of. All of these guys, they're all in these other places. They're spending huge dollars to be all kinds of places. But when you want to find an answer to that, they're nowhere to be found. Hopefully one of those videos has one of their products, because if not, they're out of luck. They're going to get redirected to someone else. So you go to Pinterest. So when we designed our office, the company that got the most money was the furniture company. Helped us plan it, helped us do all the office planning. But when you go to Pinterest and you type in designing an office or office planning or any of these things, none of the furniture companies are anywhere to be found. They're nowhere to be found. But if you go to Moat, M-O-A-T, which is the search engine that you can search for ads, these guys have more ads than any company. Like, these guys have so many ads. There's like banner ads galore. But they're not getting found in the places that they should. Their pictures aren't showing up. Their videos are not showing up. They're completely missing. And I'll show you one more example. I'm on my iPhone, and I search in the App Store, and I get a note from the IRS, or I look at my bank account and I see I have a tax problem. I go type tax planning. I want a tax planning tool. And none of the companies that you would think that would show up here, they're not here. H&R Block, I see them every day when I'm walking on a sign on the street. But when I'm on my phone, they're nowhere to be found. Not even that they're not on top, they're not anywhere to be found. And what's amazing at this is a decade later, after the underwear marketers paved the way for this revolution, a decade later, companies are still missing. And they're still doing the things that are easy, that are convenient, the things where maybe there's some extra perks. But when it comes to reaching consumers in the most important places, these guys are still missing. There's still these sad stories on the back of these mailboxes. And this breaks my heart. it shouldn't be a reason to lose our motivation. It should be more of the reason to be motivated to go after this. And this, to me, if I'm you guys watching this, this is opportunity. There is opportunity all over the place. But it's not just a dark story. Some have seen the light. A lot of people here have seen the light. This is the light. This is what Galileo's telescope is showing you, this light, which is this data. And the number one telescope in the world, which I'm proud to say is Conductor, we've got over 6,000 brands from launching this product over 4 years ago. Just 4 years ago, we launched our product. We've got over 6,000 brands that are using our technology as their telescope to have a lens into their data. There's a movement starting. This is happening. Our industry is growing. When I started the company, there was only a handful of people who had SEO or content marketing in their job description. And now there's over 1.5 million people in the world that have SEO in their job title or job description. There's over 2 million people that have content marketing in their job title and job description. This is happening. This is picking up. This is exciting. We're leading this. And when I go to offices today, I'm starting to see that the one-man show, the one-person show, they're building teams, and there's more resources. And they're building centers of excellence. I mean, we have multiple presentations today on centers of excellence. And that there's more resources, and there's more cash, and there's more dollars going into this. And when I go to the offices, I remember when I first went to Disney's office years ago, these guys had no windows. And now when you go to their Glendale office, they've got this beautiful office. It's nice. There's glass everywhere. There's free apples, all kinds of stuff. I love going there. And our industry and you guys, the Galileo movement, it's making its way up the ranks. It's becoming important.